Good evening everybody watching at home. It's a very hot day today, but it's only going to heat up more live with Amigos racing team. Once again, I'm your host SuperSquid. I'm feeling much better from last week, and thanks to all of you who wish me a speedy recovery. Definitely seemed to make the difference. We are back with the TCR Championship here, round 7 of 8, found at Blue Moon Bay infield A layout. And as usual, in the link of the video, I'm going to have the links to our Discord and of course to our previous videos, and lastly but definitely not least, the links to our partners who have sat with us through the duration of the series and been an amazing support network for us. As far as I'm aware, some of our drivers, if not all of them, may be receiving a couple of goodies here and there for their taking part. So we can only say thank you one more time to the partners on board with us for the duration of this series. You'll find the links in our video description, hopefully right about now. So, as we say, Blue Moon Bay, infield A. We've got the long straight and the start of the Hash Brown Speedway, as it's often known. Before ducking in on the tight left 90 there, or 90 left, and into the infield section there with some twisty sections set for sector 2 and a last banked corner to round it all off. Unfortunately I failed to mention the slight tweak of the race format from last week. You'll be seeing that our drivers are now going to be taking on a 20-minute middle race instead of 30 minutes all round. I think it helps get the evenings flying a little bit quicker, and also it just means that especially on the weather we've got tonight, it's just not going to be as much of a slog for the drivers involved. I think it's on Nalinsky in the comments there, wishing everyone best of luck. Thanks for tuning in, Nalinsky, a regular here watching the video, so we appreciate having you along for the ride again. As far as I'm aware as well, there were no penalties issued from the last round, which is fantastic to see. So in that case, I think we're just going to get going when Chris is ready, so I'll let him know that we're good to go. And actually maybe he's trying to jump in our party chat. Let's hold on 1 second, see if we can get him in the party for 1 second. Oh, I think he was in the party and he jumped out of it. Let's see if we can find him again.
Evening, Squid. You're right. Sorry, mate, I couldn't find the chat.
Hi there, Chris. That's probably on me. I don't think I opened it because we didn't have I think remember telling me you didn't have any stewards reports to make, so I completely skipped that part out. I apologise. Was there anything you wanted to say to the audience while we're live?
Yeah, evening everyone. I hope you're all coping alright in the weather. It's all going to be an interesting one tonight. We're all going to get a bit hot and sweaty anyway, so the temperature's not going to help at all. So yeah, like I said, that's good. We're saying there's
Chris,
no
if I just cut for 1 second, can you move your mic away very slightly because you are very loud and very crackly.
Right, sorry. Is that any better?
There you go. There we go.
Right, great. Right. So yeah, as Squid was saying, there's no reports at all, stewards, from last week. So there's no penalties at all. But I'd like to have a special sort of shout out to Isaac Smith and his family, who is a TCR driver I met at Alton Park at the weekend. He had an absolutely incredible round. He finished both races in 3rd place and made 2 unbelievable moves around the outside and the shell corner, and also ended up with the Driver of the Day award as well. So very, very well done to him, and I hope he enjoys what we've put together.
Oh, well, you said it was Alton Park, did you say there, Chris?
It was at Alton Park, yes.
Well, so I can get a couple of clips of that one myself off on YouTube following this race, I think. But
yeah,
thanks for watching, Isaac Parker. We hope you enjoy the show.
Isaac Smith, he was, sorry.
Oh, Isaac Smith, I apologise, sorry. Still, he's playing with my head. Mr. Smith. Anything else to go for then, Chris, or are you good to go?
No, I think we're good to go, mate. I really are. So I'm just going to change chats again, and then we'll get going.
Fantastic. Best luck for your race then, Chris. Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Cheers, guys.
Fantastic. And again, if you're watching Mr. Smith, I do apologise. I'm had a bit of a slow day today, a bit of a brain melt. Speaking of melting, I think I have to see how the tyres hold out for this one. We did a little bit of practice at the start of last week following the first race, I think maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, and it doesn't seem like the soft tyres will be a particularly favourable option around this circuit. Now, returning viewers will know that the soft tyres are compulsory for at least one of our 3 races tonight. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see most people sit it out on the mediums for 2 of those 3 races, just because the softs, I don't think they're going to undercut the rest of the drivers to the point where the pit stops will even things out. So we'll have to see how that pans out over the course of the evening. What we do know, though, is we will be starting in reverse championship order from a previous event, which will see our current leaders there, Gina Quinney and Mad Lad on a Pad, starting at the back of the pack. And as we like to do, we'll ride on board with them just for the start, so we can see how things unfold from their point of view. So as we have 5 red lights, that's a jump start for Mad Lad on the Pad, and he's actually in reverse now, so he'll be sat there at the back of the grid going absolutely nowhere. So we'll stick on board there with Gina Quinney as he rips straight through first and second gear there. Again, a great start as usual from the all-wheel drive Mitsubishi. Seems like the guy's keeping it fairly clean through turn 1. We've got there, I think it's Nene just getting a bit feisty there with Mr. Tiddlywink on the outside. No, sorry, not Mr. Tiddlywink, that'll be Chris R390 in his newly designed pink BMW. Contact there with Chris Char and Nene. So those two are in a little bit sideways there through the 3rd corner. Now see how they tackle the right-hander here. Chris Char's gone a little bit wide. Now he's got a drag race on with Chris R390. A bump job there from Disastrous Fate will push him up into 3, and Disastrous may well take 4th place. Go for a late dive there, but cuts right across the nose of Chris. Not advised in the braking zone, but fortunately they are making it through cleanly. Quinney up into P6 already and trying to make some more gains there. Maybe Chris hasn't quite seen him. Quinney is on the grass almost. This is a 3-way, oh, it's very close there. Quinney is trying to all-wheel drive for the traction on the Mitsubishi to try and pull away. I think Nene's going to play cautious there and just let him go. Not before a solid thump into the wall there. Having said all of that, Mad on the Pad with a huge jump start has actually caught straight back onto this trailing quartet here, or the trailing trio. Now finds himself in P9, but right at the back of Tiddlywink. Now we know Mad Lad and Gina Quinney, having had such successful races thus far in the championship, are currently wielding traction control essentially as ballast to slow them down out the traction zones. You might see there that little red icon flickering as they head through the corners and put the power down on the exits. But what they have got in their favour is a wealth of race strategy and experience. I'm sure we'll see these guys again on the medium tyres for Mad Lad and the medium tyres for Quinney, playing a more conservative race, maybe just a one-stop stint, because as you will know, they only started on half a tank of fuel, so there will be a compulsory stop at some point. See the drivers making our way through the horseshoe, as it were, here at Blue Moon Bay. We can see Sergeant Colon in the Mazda has had a very successful start there, already taken out 2.3 seconds on his next closest rival, which will be J-Lad, but he's fending off pretty much the rest of the pack there. He thumps the wall, so Chris Char will take P3. J-Lad goes P2, so Jay goes down to P3. Now that makes that 4th as Fate goes past him in the Scirocco. Chris R390 is having a look, and Quinney has already broken away from the back of the pack and is now squabbling for the last podium place with a fastest lap to boot there on 1 minute 12.8. Chris is defending and attacking at the same time. There he's on the inside of J-Lad. A little bit of door banging. Fate is wide around the outside and takes the pair of them, keeping P3. And I think one thing we've got to consider is that where these guys have stepped up from the Progression League, they are hugely making leaps and bounds in their racecraft and their discipline. Having said that, though, maybe there's 1 or 2 early moves here at the start of the race that don't need to be forced or made. Drivers are maybe just getting a little bit impatient, I think, especially in the heat. They just want to get it over and done with. But of course, we've got to consider even racecraft and fair driving, which is something you will see in abundance here at Amigos Racing Team. Make sure you do check out our Discord in the link below to get involved in our plethora of leagues and events, especially as we get through to the summer. So we can see here he's got the battle for P5, is stretching all the way to the back of the pack there. Mad Lad has gotten past Tiddlywink. J is going wide again, just about shuts the door back on Gina Quinney there in P6. But now you see the Evo has to really rev absolutely to the top of 4th gear, because 5th gear is as far as it goes, and it's got to pull straight back up into that power baron. We can see now just with the slipstream he's starting to eke past J-Lad. Is there a move to be made on the inside? Let's have a look as they go side by side. into turn 1. Quinney will take the inside line. It's like James gone very wide. Mad Lad might fall in through as well. Maybe a slight of a paint trade in there, but it's like Mad Lad is through into P6 there. And now Tilling's having a look up the inside as well. If he can shuffle back. J-Lad has been completely hung out to dry. And he's now found himself out the back of the pack. So from 5th to 9th, sorry, in the space of 3 corners, he's really got to get a move on there, sort himself out. So Nene goes for another late lunge there on Tiddlywink, but to no avail. We jump to the front of the pack again. Sergeant Colin is now starting to be caught by Chris Char. It's like you see here, they got about the same level of fuel, but Chris has taken in another 1.5 seconds over the last couple of corners here. And he's crucially as well pulling away, I think, from Disastrous Fate in the Scirocco. I think the only front-wheel drive car on the grid, we normally have Dalton in the Audi, but he is not with us this evening. So we have to see how he compares. In fact, it looks like Sergeant Cohen must be saving fuel like mad, because Chris Char has taken a whole second out of him on that straight alone, and maybe a slight bit of contact there, but now finds himself up into the top spot. We're right on board though from the back of Chris Char, opening up the wing, there we go. So we can see Sergeant Colon in the blue, black and orange Mazda, just trying to keep with him. A great run there from Sergeant Colon, but just cannot find a way past Chris. The Mazda, again, another four-wheel drive option here that was surprisingly unpopular, but not too sure why. It's an excellent car, good on fuel, great out the corners, manages its tyres quite well. I thought it would have been one of the picks of the bunch, but only one drive went for it. But Sergeant Collins had a fantastic set in it since starting in race 3. We can see though Chris has gone slightly wide there. The second last corner just about clips the rear tyres on the grass, but keeps it in a straight line. This will give Colin a good chance though to make a pass, or maybe even consider some bump drafting, some teamwork down at the home straight as they head on to the start of lap 6. The Chris Chance Sergeant Colon will be in the first 2 positions. Chris R390 has made a great advance to the front of the grid, but he's on the soft tyres. We're going to see those soft tyres wear out fairly quickly. You can see that as well. He's probably on about maybe, let's say, 15% fuel, so not much more left in that BMW. Disastrous Fate on the medium tyres there in the Scirocco in P4, and probably the best bet for him. Maybe save the soft tyres for the 20-minute race coming up next, because the Scirocco will chew through them. Mad Lad is up into P5, so a really convincing start from him though. He's just got his car on the dirt, but four-wheel drive there really helping him out, avoiding a spin. He's got Tillering behind him in P6, using the grass and more to get past, and it seems that he has done it. If I can grab the right camera. There we go, he is passed indeed, and now he's got to defend from Gina Quinney. We know he's going to run to serviceably as Tillering goes off and scrapes the barrier there. This could put him under threat here from Mad Lad. He's missed the apex of the first left-hander, clips the second one though, and you can hear Mad Lad, his tyres are squealing as those front left and right struggle for grip in the all-wheel drive Evo. Now Tillering rears to put his foot down and try and get away from these dueling Evos behind it as Chris Char dives into pits there with 3% fuel. He's gone very aggressive at the start of the race here. Only managing 6 laps is not the best he could have done. A bit short shifting would have done well there. Tillering though on 2% fuel, so not much better from him either. We see Mad Lad's fuel tank is just blinking red now, so that tells us it's 10% remaining. So he might have 1 or 2 more laps in him, but not before Gina Quinney overtakes on the inside there. Mad Lad getting a bit skittish out of turn 1. Demotes him into P5, but we'll run aboard him once again if we can maybe see another move coming in the next few corners. Let's see, early down to 3rd gear there, then back on the power. Maybe just not maximising the exit there, accelerating and turning rather than washing out naturally in a straight line. These Group 4s are all about momentum. He almost carries a bit too much momentum there into the back of Quinney. You carry as much speed as you can through the corners without scrubbing it too much off through the tyres or through the weight transfer. He's having to look for maybe a quick cut back here on the second apex. He's had the better exit, but I wouldn't go for the move here. He's got to be in the slipstream, you think, for the back straight. And that's like what he's going to do. He's going to clip off as much of that left-hand curb as he can and tuck right back under the rear wing there of Gina Quinney. So let's see if there's a move to be made on the start-finish line. And in fact, he's going to peel off into the pits. So it looks like Quinney will resume the lead here at the start of lap 8, but I'm sure we'll be seeing him come in the next lap. Nene as well has done very well to preserve his fuel tank. Perhaps quite keen to let the other drivers head past him. knowing that he'll make up this time in the pit stops. And in fact, these guys probably timed it so well, they can come in on the 20-minute mark or thereabouts on the medium set of tyres. I'm sure they're probably able to do a full tank of fuel for the next 20 minutes of the race, about half a tank for 10 minutes. And one set of medium tyres might well see them through to the checkered flag. We'll have to find out soon. We see Chris Char here coming out of the pits and rounding turn 1. We can see there he's lost, well, the gap there is 25 seconds to the leader. So I have to see if the undercut is going to work for him. Having said that though, he's come out with a 3/4 tank and medium tyres, so he's probably have to make another stop towards the end of the race, maybe just a splash and dash for fuel. Crucially, he's got Sergeant Colin behind him, who's also slightly under-fueled. Maybe they're trying to consider the longevity of the tyres, I should say, as opposed to the fuel consumption. Fate has put on a fresh set of mediums as well for him, and filled up to about maybe 2/3 tank of fuel there. We've got Quinny and Nene in the pits now, so we need to see whereabouts Chris Char is going to emerge in relation to their pit stop. We see he's under-fueled there, so maybe he's going for the undercut now, but he will have to pit again likely later. Where are his rivals going to emerge from the pit lane? Let's ride on board with him. So they're still in the pits, we can't see them finishing their refuelling just yet, and he should comfortably clear them by the end of the pit road, and he does indeed. See, Tillywig might just do it as well. Let's have a look. They're still refueling. Chris R390 is going to clear the pair of them as well, as is Mad Lad on a pad. They're just emerging now. It looks like he's going to overcut. Oh, he's just about undercut Quinny there, but can Mad Lad save the fuel now? You can see he's used up about maybe 10% of fuel on that extra lap. This may come to bite him in the butt later if he can't save it back. Quinny on a full tank of fuel, as is Nene, so these two should comfortably go to the end. Mad Lad may have just gone one lap too early, we'll have to find out. So as we scroll through the first third of our race, we've got Chris Char in P1, Sergeant Colon in second, Disastrous Fate in third, and a little ways down the road is Mr. Tillywig in fourth, battling with Chris R390 in fifth. Two of the BMWs here. Mad Lad on the pad is in sixth, with Quinny right behind him in seventh place. Nene in P8, and J-Lad is just rounding the horseshoe there in P9. Not the best start for him. So he's got to make his way back up the pack, because the second race will be the grid order set by the results of this race. He's quite well off, 10 seconds off the pace of Nene, so he's really got to put his foot down. He wants to be in a chance of not starting at the back for race 2. We'll jump forward again though, just to see where our battles are going on. I think our closest battle here might be between Quinny, our current championship leader, and Mad Lad, who's currently championship P2. Well, let's get back on his tail, and Chris there a little bit wide there through the right-hander. Tilly giving him a bump, maybe a reminder that he's there. Chris is defending into the horseshoe, takes a very unorthodox line there through into the hairpin, but it's enough to throw Mr. Tilly off his game and will keep him in P5. Mr. Tilly, of course, no stranger to an unorthodox overtaking move himself. He saw some fantastic moves at Brands Hatch as of late, and a couple other tracks earlier in the calendar. I think he's going to pull something special out of his sleeve here if he wants to make a move on Chris R390. So it seems the drivers now just trying to settle into a rhythm, make sure they manage the resources at their disposal. I think now need to work out who really is going to go into that other pit stop. I don't think Tilly is going to have enough fuel in his BMW to go for another stint, and it seems to me he must have kept on the tyres from his first stint from until about lap 5 there, until about lap 6, I'd say. compared to Chris Chow up at the front. So really, I think if I'm Tiddywink, I'd be getting a move on BMW out of my way, because they might not be battling, but they're not getting anywhere fast. Now I see there's Mad Lad is trying to break the slipstream there from Ginniquini, moving to the inside of the straight, and now hard on the brakes, into braking zone. You can see, we could tell he's the Mad Lad on the pad just through the incredible steering animations we've got here from the GT Sport replay cameras. It's not exactly refined steering we see here from our resident controller user, but he makes it work. I've been told, in fact, he's still using X and square for accelerate and brake, which is very PlayStation 2. But if it's got him in the championship lead, I suppose I can't really complain. Just up ahead though, we see Tiddywink has got a half-second penalty for track limits. I would assume maybe that is coming through into sector 2. I have to see whereabouts he's going to get rid of that penalty. But crucially, he's just on the cusp of that 7/10th boundary there to Chris R390. We know the slipstream is about 0.75 of a second, so he's got to stay just within that bubble to keep the slipstream, and crucially keep him out of touching distance from Mad Lad and Ginniquini, our current championship 1 and 2. Chris Charlo seems to be walking away with this one fairly convincingly so far. I'm sure he's going to make another pit stop soon, but he's not letting those behind him get on his nerves. We see there he's almost 4 seconds. Sorry, 4 seconds up there on Sergeant Colon in P2. We can see that Disastrous Fate is just starting to close him in now, I think, in P3. Those medium tyres, though, you can see at the front are definitely worse for wear when compared to the Mazda in second place. And we might have to see Fate come in, actually we'll definitely see Fate come in, because he's definitely under fueled. So you have to come in for another stop, maybe within the next 3 minutes, I'd say, to put on another load of fuel and sort out some new tyres, because they will not be comfortable by the end of the race. However, that Scirocco will be an absolute rocket in a straight line. And let's have a look and see just how much time he makes on Sergeant Colon. It's 4/10 at the moment. We'll make that 3/10. Now it's only 2/10 over the line, and it could be an overtake for P2 here. No, it'll be a bump draft instead. So again, maybe looking to catch up to leader as a team. Tiddywink pits there from P5. So maybe trying to get out of the way of Chris R390, maybe find himself some clean air as he looks to make the rest of his race count, having just maybe slightly under-fueled we saw earlier. So Quinny up into 5th, Mad Lad into 6th. You can see already as well that front right tyre is definitely showing more wear than it is on Quinny's Mazda, who's actually overtaken him on the last lap, but we didn't see it. So now I think this is Quinny's chance to run away, as Mad Lad is now putting his foot to the floor and trying to gain on our championship leader. We've got Nene in P7 there, still managing his race as carefully as he can, treading very lightly in terms of fuel. And they should see him make maybe 1 or 2 more places as he carries on for the next 12 minutes. We know drivers up ahead will have to fill up and maybe change their tyres as well. And J-Lad is, for the time being, net last, as we know Tiddywink made his stop earlier, but he's gone for a full tank of fuel and a fresh set of meters. I'm not sure that's really the ideal strategy, because we know that drivers can make a half a tank last for 10 minutes, so he definitely doesn't need a whole tank of fuel. Maybe he wasn't keeping an eye on the fuel gauge, we'll have to see there. Chris Charlo is really starting to stretch his lead over from Sergeant Colon. He is now 6.5 seconds up there from the Mazda in second place, as he makes an excellent right hand there at turn 4. Just clipping the left apex there, braking in the shadow, down to second gear, clips the apex very nicely, back on the power, easing it in, using all the exit curb, then washing nicely to the right here for the double apex of, it was probably maybe turn 7 and 8, I think, 6 and 7, I've lost my count now. And then chopping off the left-hander very neatly, back on the power, washing to the right, and then, I'm not sure why he's not quite cutting in for the apex of the corner there. Maybe trying to save some of the tyre life there in the Lexus. Of course, it's a heavy beast, that Lexus. We'll see him cross the line. Not quite enough to take the best lap off of Chris, but a 1:13.1 is still a respectable time indeed. Sergeant Colon has eked out his gap there over Disastrous Fate by a couple of tenths there. And we can see Fate's fuel is now starting to dip a little bit lower as his tyres now give up the ghost as well. Mad Lad has to jump into the pits, possibly that must be for a tyre change, because he will not be enjoying those warm mediums. We have a quick look at his details here. Yeah, those front tyres are definitely not looking very good. We've got Matthew France in the comments there saying, sorry I'm not racing tonight guys, I've definitely got heat strokes. Oh, really feel for you, Matthew. I'm sorry to hear that, bud, and I hope you do feel better soon. Keep hydrated, stay cool as best you can over these next few days at least. And I really hope to see you on track next week for the last one. So you see there, Quinny's up into P4, having got past Chris R390. I'm not too sure exactly where that one's happened. So I was looking at Mad Lad in the pits there. But those soft tyres on Chris's car have definitely seen better days. And he's been pushing Gina Quinny, although really it's to no avail, because he's going to have to jump in the pits at some point soon and ditch those soft tyres. Chris Chard jumps in the pits there with 6% fuel. The question is, what is Chris's plan here? There's a yellow flag on the straightaway. I'm not too sure what that's about. Let's see, is it Sergeant Colon? Well, he's not got any damage. Maybe, I'm not sure why he stopped. Maybe he was trying to make the pit entry and he's just missed it. Is there a replay for this? Let's see, he was aiming for the pits and a bit of a bump draft there. Let's put Disastrous Fate into the wall. I see. Maybe Sergeant Colon was going for the bait and switch on the pit entry, and in fact, Disastrous Fate didn't see the wall come in. I have to find out what's happened there in the post-race interview. That's a very sly bit of driving there. The engine damage as well. Disastrous Fate will not be happy with that one. Chris R390 is still battling with Quinny, and really, this isn't making any sense. He's either got to pull away and do it fast, or he's got to sit behind him and just let him go, but he's not got the tyres to last another 8 minutes comfortably, so really he's got to get past him, dive into the pits, and then make the rest of his race count. I'm not too sure what's going through Chris's head at the moment. He's done a great job on the fuel saving, but really he's got to jump in, get some soft tyres on, and then get straight back out again. You see he's trying to stay in the slipstream there of Gina Quinny. He's short shifting very nicely as well to keep saving the fuel in the BMW. But if we look at Quinny's car here, he's just got so much better tyres. So it's not even a contest here, because Chris, I think, is going to understeer through the first corner. He does indeed. And Quinny, if he thinks about it in the right place, will have to cut back on. Although I think Chris has just shut the door in him as Quinny has run wide to straighten off the exit. But you see how early Chris is having to brake on these worn soft tyres. Quinny, I think, is just lining him up, almost playing with his food, as it were. As these two head into the middle sector, I think Chris, again, he's got to get off those soft tyres and get back out there and put some more fast laps in. He's already got the fastest lap of the race so far, 1:12.6. But he'll only find himself going backwards if he carries on this way. Nene's only 5.8 seconds down on these guys, but should also be on a fairly decent looking set of mediums where he runs wide off the track there. But I think if Chris keeps going the way he's going, Nene might end up becoming another piece of the problem as well. So let's see what Chris's plan is now as he slipstreams Gina Quinny down the front straight. Oh, he's going to keep going, so it will be an interesting plan to see if Chris can hold it for another 7 minutes. Looks like he's going to go for the lead once again, but I'm sure this will only be temporary. So Quinny's in P2, or a bit of door bag in there as well. We've got Nene in P3 there, just serving a penalty as he lifts off into the first corner. Chris Chow in P4, of course starting from pole, maybe not the best strategy for him, but a decent finish for him if he can keep P4. Malad on the pad, having thrown some new tyres on, still trying to get used to them, I think, though, in P5. Sergeant Cohen's just behind him in P6 there, a brand new set of tyres for him, so we might see him reel in the Mad Lad anytime soon. Same for Disastrous Fate, he's got half a tank of fuel and some fairly fresh mediums, home pitted maybe a lap or two prior, so he's got some gains to make. Mr. Tiddy McDown in P8, so his strategy is really not falling his way at all, and the same could be said as well for J-Lad, finding himself at the back of the pack by a good half a lap, it seems. We jump to the front again though. We see Chris is still playing games with Gina Quinney. But of course, I don't think any of this is really phasing Quinney at all. He's probably going to be quite comfortable to sit behind Chris down the straightaway and let Chris lead the laps. Again, it's a chance for him to save some more fuel so he can put it to use later should he need to. You can see there that both cars running very wide there. I think Chris has run even wider here and off into the Armco. Quinney's having to leave the space, but Chris again running wide, trying to defend a place that really I think he has no need to defend so aggressively. These guys really are going all out for the lead, but I think it's just a matter of time. I think the harder Chris is working to defend this place, the more he's going to use up his tyres, less conscious he might be of his fuel, and really I think that his best plan is either to put some new tyres on or just follow Quinney and secure P2 rather than risk bringing another driver into the battle for the podium spots. So we see here we've got Nene. He's taken out about four laps, so maybe he's not got enough to reel them in on pure race pace. If they keep fighting, if there's another incident, we may well see some changes for the lead and on the podium. We jump back a little way as well. Sergeant Colon has now got a little train form behind him with Mad Lad on our pad and Disastrous Fate. So we're on board with Fate there in the slipstream of the Mad Lad. We know again the Scirocco goes like a scolded rat there down the straightaway. Slipstreaming Mad Lad, lining him up. Oh, that's a very late bump indeed, and Mad Lad might well find himself in the grass. I think Disastrous Fate quite rightly lifting off there, making sure he doesn't gain the place. But that's definitely don't do the bump draft about 50 metres off the braking zone. That's extremely risky there. So that could have gone all ways over wrong, but fortunately Mad Lad's kept it out of the wall. We jump back to the front though. Quinney is still on the tail. Chris R390 here, so these two are still going really tooth and nail for P1 and P2. I'm really not sure maybe why Chris is still trying to fight this one as hard as he is. And there he goes, in fact, into the pits there. He's not quite managed the fuel and tyres as he needed to. That'll put him down a couple of places. Nene will slide up now into P2. And as Mad Lad has now finally lost a place to Disastrous Fate, and Tiddywink finds himself with a chance of these few spaces as well. We see Chris is just entering the pit lane now, so this is going to be a very long stop for him, I feel. Tiddywink will clear him on the straight as well, and Chris will lose from the lead down to P8. It looks like he's just leaving the pit lane now, and indeed he does, down to P8. He's filled up with fuel, but he's not changed his tyres, and that's probably the worst move he could have made there. It only would take a couple more seconds to change the tyres, but he'll be losing so much more time per lap here on these worn tyres. It's not going to do him any favours at all. Mad Lad is still trying to hunt down a Mr. Tiddywink, but now Tiddywink, I think, has got his foot down. Slightly nicer tyres as well, and he's going to have to put, he wants to catch up with Disastrous Fate. He's 2 seconds up the road heading through the horseshoe. Sergeant Colon going a little bit wide through there as well. So the real battle, I think, is here for P4. We're right on board there with Sergeant Colon, as he's got Disastrous Fate in his rear view, Tiddywink and Mad Lad just eking into the shot there as well. Well, his P4, but the drivers behind are starting to pile up. This is Fate here in P5, Tiddywink in 6th, and Mad Lad is just about out of the slipstream. So as long as Tiddywink keeps his foot pinned, he should lose him down the main straight. So we've got just over a minute and a half to go, so I'd say maybe 2 more laps for our drivers here. As if I can get my camera to face the front now, as it goes a little bit wide there through turn 1, but not to any major detriment there. Mad Lad is starting to be reeled in by Chris R390. You see the Mad Lad is very low on fuel as well, and just as I predicted, that undercut he put on Gina Quinney is not helping him in the slightest. He had to pit earlier for a fresh set of tyres. I think, again, owing to the fact he's having to steer on the pad with the buttons, it's not going as well for him. But now, having not quite had the fuel first stint, when he came into the pits earlier, or when he left the pits earlier, and he may well finish this one just on the very last dregs of fuel left in the tank of that Mitsubishi, but probably not before Chris R390 has a go into the last lap of the race. Having said that, he's walloped the wall there on the inside, on the outside, and that could well be his chance at P7 gone unless Mad Lad has an unfortunate incident with the fuel. He jumped forward though. Fate is making a move on the inside there of Sergeant Colon, late on the brakes there into turn 1, and he's just about closed the door on him and made it stick. A great move there by Disastrous Fate for P4. Let's see if we get another look at that one, maybe on board with Disastrous Fate. So Runable, he's in the slipstream, moves out at the last minute, slams on the brakes about 50 metres away, and if we just check behind him there, he keeps that apex nice and tight, and a great move for P4. He's still got to hold off Sergeant Colon though as they head into the horseshoe. We'll just jump back to the front of the grid very quickly as I shall say that Sergeant Colon is around the outside as they head into the double left-hander. Giniquini will take the win here, and Nene, a fantastic strategy from him, should see him take P2. Chris Char looks like he's just about run out of fuel, I think, it's not Chris Char. I think that might well be is that Nene and J-Lad, I think, perhaps? Oh, Nene and Chris Char. There we go. So J-Lad must have been lapped, I think. Just about make it through to P2 and 3. Disastrous Fate will take Sergeant Colon on the line for P4. Colon crossed the line in 5th place. Teeny was hunting him down, but in 6th place just could not make the gains on him. And Chris will pip Willie D, Mad Lad on the line for 7th and 8th with J-Lad a lap down. But there's your winner for race 1 tonight, Giniquini. Well, excellent race there for race 1 of 3 tonight at Blue Moon Bay in Field A. And as we like to do, we're going to jump into the party chat and see if we can get a couple of anecdotes from our drivers.
Race, Chris. 20 minutes flat out, one stop.
Good evening all, you're live on ART TV, please do not swear. Giniquini from the back to the front, how are you feeling?
Very good, thank you. It were a nice fun race that, because it's a short track. There was lots of action all the way through, really.
Fantastic. And did the strategy pan out exactly as you'd worked, or was it maybe a little bit because you've been faster? Did you have to slow down anywhere, or were you all right?
I followed Mad Lad for a bit, and obviously on the straight that had my fuel save, and then Chris R won't fit in, so that meant I could just follow him and again save a few extra bits of fuel down the straight. The strategy was basically to one stop, just get to 10 minutes and then manage it again for the second half.
Well, congratulations on the win for race 1. I hope you find race 2 the same result. Who else are we having a quick chat with? Actually, yeah, Mad Lad. Are you there, Mad Lad?
Yeah, I'm here.
What happened to your race? Because it seemed for a while you were on the exact same strategy as Giniquini, but I think about a lap down on fuel, and that seemed to bite you in the butt at the end.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, it wasn't a good second half of the race. It all fell apart. I had to pit again. I noticed Ginny didn't pit, so as soon as that happened, and it was race over between me and him. And then I had to fuel save for the second half of the race, which killed me even more, really. And then, couldn't have gone any worse, really.
So how are you approaching the 20-minute sprint coming up next then? Is that going to be flat out soft tyres, or are you going to try and conserve for this one as well?
I was flat out. That's all I know, isn't it?
Well,
as fast as possible.
I suppose in the words of the late great Colin McRae, when in doubt, flat out.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, best of luck for your race, and I hope you catch up with you guys after race 2. Have a good one. Well, there we go. Looks like people are going to be trying a little bit harder then for this second race. As we said, 20-minute race. They're still starting on a half tank of fuel. Nothing else has changed apart from the time limit. So we should see maybe into the second stint. Maybe we can have a little sneak peek at what our drivers are running here. So a couple more people are going for the soft tyres there. Looks like maybe Mad Lad's going for the softs this time. Chris, I think, has done his time on the softs, wants to sit on the mediums now. And Tiddywink also going for the soft tyres. So we just see how the BMW manages on the soft tyres, because they weren't great for that 30-minute race. It might just pan out for them. So, when he enters the track, then they should be good to go for the second of our 3 races tonight. But yes, this is the penultimate race of the series, I believe. If I remember rightly, we're going back to Brands Hatch, just as the BTCC does, for our grand finale. And we saw Brands Hatch had some very contentious racing before, some great competition. Oh no, actually, we're going to Dragon Trail Gardens. I thought we were going back to Brands Hatch, never mind. Well, Dragon Trail Gardens, I think, will also provide some interesting races with that crazy hexagonal multi-apex beast of a corner before the end. So that will make for some fantastic spectacle for you guys watching on the channel. And if you've not subscribed already, please consider subscribing. I've made a playlist here for the TCR Championship if you want to catch up with some of the highlights. I believe I was away for round 5, so that one is not on the channel. And round 6 last week, unfortunately, was cut short as I was feeling very under the weather. And again, I do apologise to our partners for cutting that one short, but I seem to be on better form today. And just wishing Lankster were here with me, because he does a cracking job in the commentary. And really, guys, if you could put some support for Lankster in the comments, please, for the commentary that he's put on. Unfortunately, he's now racing, he's too busy. But he was a bit doubtful of his performances, but he was fantastic. So it's great to see him try something new. So it seems we're just waiting for JLad now to get himself on track. I think people still having some last minute decisions over the tyres they want to choose. We saw again the mediums doing fairly well if you go for the longer, more conservative race. The softs will of course be great if you're trying to go flat out, but flat out is not always the best thing, especially when the pit lane is so long here at Blue Moon Bay. So let's have a quick look, see who is pinging around on track there as we get ready for... That's my phone. As we get ready to go. Chris is saying we have major tyre infringements going on. That doesn't sound good. So, from what I can see, I can't see anything particularly sticking out to me. So hopefully he'll give me a little bit more context, either in a private message or maybe in the game chat. But major tyre infringements does not sound good. I didn't see anyone running mixed tyres for the last race. That would have been very naughty indeed. But in the meantime, we'll jump on board and see what's going on. Yeah, what's this message here? Some guys run racing mediums in all 3 races. So this must be maybe people realising from maybe last week before they weren't allowed to do so. So I'm sure they'll be caught up at a later date. I've just seen a comment there from Matthew Francis, I think. Just appeared off my screen. If I can get my laptop back up to tell you what's going on, because it's shut off. I think we'll jump back to Jalen at the back of the pack, get his view on things as the grid gets ready to go. Hopefully no jump start here from Mad Lad, but that'll be 5 red lights and away we go. Much better start from everyone there, no jump starts at all. And Industrious Fate, I think, having some wheel spin there has put him to the back of the pack. We can see Chris Char move to the inside there very early, trying to defend and keep his line safe. Tiddlywink has been bumped by Chris Char, I think, and that's pushed Mad Lad out to the right hand side, but not before Nene jumps up into the lead of the race there. It was a brave move there from Quinny to try and keep that one. J-Lad almost in the dirt himself, as was Mad Lad, but it looks like Quinny from P2 on the grid has managed to get back up into first place. Faye and J-Lad going side by side at the back of the pack, which is something we love to see. You know, intense racing at all ends of the grid. TV and Chris Char also getting a little bit feisty as they head through the horseshoe there. Chris getting a little bit sideways as well for good measure. That big torquey V8 in the Lexus putting his power down, maybe rather brutishly there. But he finds himself in P5. Ballad again with the four-wheel drive traction of the E-Bar off the start line is electric, and now on those soft tyres as well, he's really going flat out as hard as he can. And so we've now got a full tank of fuel here for race 2. So maybe I think I'd go maybe two stints of soft tyres possibly if they go more aggressive, or they might go for the or the no stopper at all if they're on the medium. So this could be interesting to see. Quinny leads them round the pack though for lap 1. And Nene is in second. He's got Sergeant Cohen just on his inside there in P3, and there's Mad Lad in P4. So it is a four-wheel drive front four. TV, oh my god, that's 3 wide. What a great time to cut back to that one. 3 wide with Chris R390, Tilly and Chris Char, and Chris R390 just about makes that one stick. That was some crazy moves there. Chris Char's gone off into the dirt there. Actually, I think it was Chris R390 actually gone into the dirt there, and now he's back into P7. So going for another late move on the inside of Disastrous Fate. And again, these early race dive bombs need to be cooled down, I think, from these guys, because they're just a little bit too exuberant, I think, sometimes. And Chris, though, is right on the back of that Scirocco. Let's have a look from his point of view. Try and tuck in early to that apex there. A little bit of a wall grind from the Scirocco. That's going to cost him some momentum out the corner. And I'm sure we'll see his BMW fly straight past him. Oh no, a little bit of a bump drop there. Nowhere to go on the inside without lifting off. So now you've got to see he can get past Scirocco. You see that early shift there to 7th gear, back through the torque of the BMW, and he pulls clearly away from the Scirocco. Question is there another move into the first corner? Oh, that's a double stamp on the brakes there, I was going to say. A double dip on the brakes. And keeps P6, but now he's on the inside of Tiddlywink. He's going for the move into turn 3, because that'd be very brave. Or turn 2. Oh, no, not quite, but now they're 2 by 2 heading through turn 3 and 4. So it really is getting a bit dangerous there. Meanwhile, at the front of the pack, it looks like Mad Lad has just made a move through there on Gina Quinny for the race lead, but not before Nene settles back into rhythm. All three of them are really fighting side by side here. I do want to see if I can get another shot, though, of I think it was Chris R390 having a go. They're 3 wide past these guys, but then if we jump back on board from Chris's view, he's just missed the apex, gone on the grass, bumped the wall. Chris Shard did go wide indeed, as I saw there. And the places that Chris R390 gained through that, unfortunately seemed to throw him away straight away. To the front of the pack though, it is Mad Lad just about trying to pull out the slipstream distance now from Gina Quinny in P2. Nene is in 3rd for the time being, Kelner in 4th, so he's starting to fall off of that front trio. He needs to get back on the pace if he wants the chance at the podium spots. Chris R390 still defending from Mr. Tiddlywink there in P5. Tilly looking for a very aggressive move on the inside there. He's looking very racy, and looking racy behind as well. There's J-Lad up into P7, is trying to fend off Chris Char, and who is that behind him? Is that Disastrous Fate, I believe? Pardon me, and it is indeed. Fate going through the inside of Chris Char. Super late lunge there. Can the Scirocco get traction on the exit? Oh, I'm not too sure. He has had a very tight exit there. There's no dust for the Scirocco. J-Lad just rolling through that double right hand, nice and smooth. But he's not the back of Tiddlywink. He's 1.5 seconds away. He's got a lot of gains to make if he wants to slipstream. Tiddlywink, though, going around the outside of Chris R390 through the last corner. So an excellent run out of there for Mr. Tiddlywink. Sees him back in P5, but maybe not for long. He's got the slipstream back for Chris R390s, maybe just letting go to have him back again, and he will indeed take P5 into the braking zone of turn 1. So maybe happy to let Tiddlywink make the pass, knowing he'll have him back in the slipstream. So that's more the intelligent racecraft we're looking for, I think, from these guys here. It seems that Mad Ad is starting to keep pulling away from Quinny there. He's 1.3 seconds, 1.4 seconds actually, as they head into the braking zone of the Horseshoe. But you see there as well, the front tyre is starting to lock up slightly with Mad Ad as he brakes and turns. That may well have been his Achilles heel in the first race. You can see actually that front right tyre was already looking about a quarter worn already, compared to Quinny on the mediums, who's got almost a brand new set of tyres underneath his Evo still after 5 laps. So unless Mad Lad can really eke out that undercut and the free pit stop, I'm not too sure he's going to have race 2 under his bag either. Under his belt, sorry. Nene's up into 3rd place still. He's still a very consistent race from him. Much more strategic racing from him. It's great to see him up in the podium spots as it was last race. Colonel is in P4, kind of marooned there with Chris R390 2 and a bit seconds back in P5. He has started to drop Tiddlywink now, and actually Tiddlywink is just about to be passed by J-Lad, I think. And indeed he is. J-Lad puts that BMW between the other two. P6, Tiddlywink is in 7th. There we see Chris Char's bright green Lexus battling with disastrous fate in the Scirocco for last place. Again, it's great to see these battles going on at either end of the track. To jump on board there with Tiddlywink as he hunts for a way past J-Lad. Oh, there's some contact there. Oh, Tiddlywink though, great sportsmanship there, moving to the inside to prevent the spin and lifting off to allow him to retake the place. It's a very bold move there, maybe a little bit understeery towards the exit of the corner there, but great to see him look after his fellow competitor there. Well done there, Tiddlywink. Unfortunately though, it has put him to the back of the pack, so he's got some gains to make there. I can see Brad in the chat there. Good evening, Brad. I hope you're doing well. I'm still sweating and morally despondent from the absolute handing that I got at karting last night. But please thank your dad while you're there, because I really learnt a lot from him. I'd love to see his Formula Ford one time. Oh, we see there Chris Char up in P6. He's got the Scirocco disastrous fate right up on his bumper there. And in fact, he's gone for a very late move there. But he's held it tight, and maybe Fate looking for a move around the outside instead. He's trying to scare Chris Char into defending early, but that Scirocco just could not put the power down in time. Chris R390 is starting to look a little bit ragged because he was pulling away by quite a margin, and now he's only half a second away from the BMW in 5th place. We'll jump aboard there with disastrous fate and see if he's got a move lined up into the braking zone at the Horseshoe. But no, you can actually see from the throttle trace there he's lifting off. So maybe knowing it's better to leave the overtakes until the back straight. I've just seen a move from Dalton in the chat as well there, saying, so I couldn't race tonight, the heat's damn near killed me. Well, I don't blame you at all. I'm sweating buckets here. I can only imagine what it's like being an F1 driver in Bahrain or Abu Dhabi in the heat of summer. If there's any comparison, I've got a couple of pounds I'd ought to lose really, but not this way. Fate there, he just not had the final sector he was looking for. He's dropped off the back of this battling pair, but now he's really starting to reel them in. Perhaps they've dropped down a fuel mix or two on the back straight. You can see a double slipstream. They must definitely be using a lower fuel mix there. He's reeled them in so quickly. A bump draft down straight for good measure, but he's not going to get the overtake done. So this trio is still battling for P5 as we head into the last 10 minutes of our race. Mad Lad has really pulled out the distance here to Gina Quinney. 4.4 seconds actually as he heads into the Horseshoe. But you can see the state of his tyres are not going to be helping him, and he's going to have to jump into the pits for a fresh set of softs. He may just about be alright on fuel, but his soft tyres have definitely seen better days. Meanwhile, if we jump back to Gina Quinney, his medium tyres still look fantastic. He's taken excellent care of those, and he should make his way into P1 without any queries at all. Nene as well, doing super well. I say, he slams the wall there on his medium tyres. So no stopper should be fairly easy for him to make as well. With more fuel than Quinney, it must be said. So perhaps he's got a bit more to give late race. Sergeant Colonel again, still on his island, 3 seconds with either side of him. So he's got plenty of time to catch up, plenty of time to concede if he needs to. Chris R390 in P5. He's still got this train of Chris Char and Disastrous Fate right up behind him. He's got to make sure he keeps his eyes on the road in front. It doesn't seem to be any moves made offensively for the time being. And crucially though, while Disastrous Fate has the disadvantage of the tyres, he does have the advantage on fuel. Just a tiny bit extra might be what he needs to push in the late stages of the event here. But we are halfway through, so it still is anyone's guess. As Chris R390 again going wide out of the right-hander into the middle sector. Chris Char easy around the outside, and Disastrous Fate for that matter. In fact, Fate can make it a double move. Oh, he was looking at it, but just had to duck out, I think, there. Chris R390 is trying to get it done on the exit of the final sector, but I think Fate is going to keep that one nice and tuck the apex, and he will indeed fend off the BMW for another day. The question is, can he keep the distance to Chris Char for the slipstream? In fact, he will. In fact, I think he's gained some time on him instead. Just about, and now we're going to see that absolute rocket VW catch the Lexus, and he's going to dive straight to the inside actually, so no thoughts for the bump draft, no team games here. He's going to make that move quickly. We'll jump back for the moment then while he's ahead, see the move that he's made here. An easy overtake past Chris, who had gone off at the prior corner, and a very late move there, but just had to pull out of it. That may well have been enough, I think, to scare him off. A little bit of contact there from Chris just to give him a little bit more poke out the corner. But he had a much better final sector, we saw, to get him past Chris Char down the main straight. Having said that, Chris is right back on. You can see that massive Lexus grille, almost like a black hole, trying to suck in the VW, sat in P4 there. Of course, I'm sure the massive engine at Lexus could probably generate its own gravitational field. I mean, that's why it explains the black hole in the front of the Lexus. We can see that Disastrous Fate is just trying to escape it though. Slingshot that Scirocco out of its orbit. And I think he's still going to find himself in trouble as they head onto the back straight for the start of lap 11. You see those medium tires on the Scirocco as he just about hits the wall there. Looking about a quarter worn maybe on the right and about 20% worn on the left. So they are going to give in a couple of laps. We see there Chris Char, maybe look at the slipstream now. He was going to have that drag race with the Scirocco, but now he's gone for the slipstream instead. Chris R390 ducks in with 36% fuel, so he's gone flat out it seems. But he's just not managed to manage he's just not managed to manage the fuel, I suppose. Managed to manage? What am I talking about? Now I see maybe just the first instances of tyre management to come into play here from Chris Char. You can see, you can hear, I say, from the tyre squeals. Lexus is really not enjoying these long sweeping corners, really taking its toll on the right hand side of those right side of the car there. You see from the tyres on your bottom left of your screen, not enjoying these high inertia corners. We run through our grid very quickly while we've not got so much action happening here. Quinny is now taking 2 seconds out of Nene. Actually, so about 2 seconds away initially, I think. So maybe Nene is starting to put his foot down, and he definitely is. You see, Nene had the fuel advantage before, but now they are more or less level. So Nene is trying to reel in Quinny just for at least a sniff at P1, just a chance of being on the top step. We'd love to see him now. I don't think he's won a race yet in the TCR, so it'd be great to see a different winner. Someone dethrone our current points leader. Sergeant Collins dropped another second or so off the back of these two as we see, I think it was J-Lad diving to the pits in the back of our shot. Disastrous Fate is in P4, Chris Char in 5th, Mad Lad 2 seconds away in 6th, and another 2 seconds is Mr. Tiddywink. J-Lad is in the pits, Chris R390 coming around the final corner here, might just about jump him for P8. We'll see in a moment. And it seems he will get the edge there on J-Lad for 8th place. So let's see where the fighting's going on. I think it must be these guys here fighting for 4th still. Mad Lad is only a second off there from Chris and Disastrous Fate, but very, very late in the brakes there in the Evo. Not helping those front tyres either. He's just changed them. He's got to make sure it makes them last for the next 5 minutes. Disastrous Fate's gone very wide there, and Chris Char looking up the inside. They're going to drag race to the last corner, but really this could be much like a Verstappen and Hamilton fighting for DRS. Fate has gone for the DRS advantage, but in fact he's let Mad Lad on the pad through into P5. That's the last thing he was hoping for. And by trying to wait for the slipstream on the back straight, he's actually invited another overtake. And now he's going to have to make his way past Mad Lad. In fact, no, he's going to bump draft him down the straight and hopefully use him to catch the slipstream of Chris Char in P4. But those front tyres now looking ever so much more worn on Disastrous Fate's Volkswagen. You can see that front right is almost halfway gone, and he's still got another quarter of the race to manage on it, so it's going to be far from comfortable here. Really see that Scirocco leaning in the corners. It's scrabbling for grip that I think after a couple more minutes just will not be there. Mad Lad though is having to battle side by side with Chris Char as they head towards the horseshoe here. Late on the brakes is Mad Lad there, trying to keep apex as tight as he possibly can. And Chris Char is just going to have to give that place back for the time being. Dalton says, intelligent driving from Fate, brilliant to see. And I think this is the thing. I've not focused much on Disastrous Fate since he joined the series, but one thing I have noticed in these last couple of races, he's become more astute, more aware of his car's advantages and disadvantages. And unfortunately, I think the disadvantage is now starting to rear its ugly head. You can see he's losing time hand over fist out of that last sector as the Scirocco's front tyres just cannot keep up with the strain of the cornering anymore. But he has improved a lot, especially having to deal with one of the tougher cars to drive. He may still have a place up for grabs if Lad on the pad or Chris end up coming together a little bit too closely. So Giniquini from the back of the pack, sorry, from the front of the pack I should say, it was race 2. He had a fairly convincing one for the second event here tonight. Managed his car, his tyres and fuel very, very consistently. He's not been putting any blinding laps in. You can see the fast lap so far is a 1:12.5, and in fact Quinny's been in the 1:14s, even a 15 there on lap 8. But I suppose the important thing really is the consistency he's put in. You can see lap 11 and 12, a thousandth of a second separating the pair of them. But I suppose in order to finish first you must finish, and the best way of doing that is by keeping it consistent and keeping it safe. Nene though is trying to reel him in. He's taken about half a second out of him in this last couple of corners. He's running slightly less fuel, but he's only got to run for another 2 or so laps. In fact, it could be very tight to the line. It might even be 3 laps if they cross the line just a fraction too early. These front two might have to do 3 laps as opposed to everyone else doing 2. Sergeant Colon there trying to keep it stable through turn 1. We see Chris Char and Mad Lad still going side by side. Chris Char is now having to defend from Mad Lad. He's on the inside. He's going to tuck back into the slipstream, and just behind is what you can see Tiddlywink and Disastrous Fate having their own battle there for 6th and 7th. So I'm going to stick here, I think, with Chris Char as we have essentially the front row seats to the back seat fight. You hear there, the Alexis not quite in the power band. The Evo's really had the grip out of the corner there. They're going to be side by side heading into the horseshoe. The Evo on the inside line there will hug the apex as close as he can and will take P4 away. And it, just like Sergeant Colon there, has maybe had a Sergeant Colon, I think it is Sergeant Colon indeed. There's a bit of an instant there going through his last 2 corners. Found himself very slow there and may well lose P3 at the end. And crucially, it seems that Nene has now found his rhythm and is trying to catch up to Giniquini. There'll be a little bit of bump drafting first just to secure them either the extra lap or to secure them the distance from Sergeant Colon. But now Nene makes his move into the lead, trying to keep it stopped. But if we look back from Quinny, he's got such better tyres. I think Quinny may well have the edge as they head through to this final or maybe penultimate lap here at Blue Moon Bay infield. Quinny, I think now is just going to let maybe Nene go a little bit, maybe give him some false confidence, but also keep his tyres in good shape in case they do have to go around one more time. I think it will be close as they get to the line. And if I were Quinny, I'd be looking to make a move down the back straight, which I think maybe he's wise giving that place away early. No need to fight into the last few corners, just make it count coming out of the last one. You can see he's already gained back all the time that he lost, and then some. And now he's gone very wide there onto the grass, but you can see Quinny does not want the lead, not at this part of the track. We'll jump a ball with him now as they head through the last corner. They've got about 10 seconds to the line, and I'm not too sure if they're going to be doing another lap or not. But Quinny's got to get past now if he wants that safety net. Nene is going to take the high line, it seems. No, he's going to stay in the lane. There's no idea where he's going. They go bump draft, and that may well be the last lap. Nene takes it on the line from Gina Quinney, P1 and 2 respectively. Sergeant Colonel will take 3rd place. Tiddlywink 4th. Chris Child just behind him 5th. Disastrous Fate will take 6th place. And a Mad Lad on the pad, I think we find him there. He's just rolling over the line. He's out of fuel, it seems. And Chris Harvey 90 will, I think, take him on the line. He will indeed. Chris will take 7th. Mad Lad will take 8th. And I think J-Lad is just too far back. We'll see J-Lad come back in a P9 as Mad Lad on the pad goes to make the finish just a little bit more exciting and different. And indeed, here comes J-Lad to round out our race 2. Just seeing the comments there from Dalton. Mad Lad and running out of fuel. Name a more iconic duo. I'm just imagining the meme now with the 2 really ripped dudes doing the handshake. But I'll jump back into the party now and have a quick chat with our race winner. Good to see him on the podium, Mr. Nene. In fact, on top spot, I should say. So let's catch up with him. Good evening, everybody. You're live on ART TV. Please keep it clean. Nene, are you there?
Oh, everyone's so used to muting out Squid, and they're just letting Ginger Quinney speak from now.
Well, you left that one close, didn't you?
Yeah, I think maybe I might have managed fuel a touch better, or I don't know. Evo's definitely best on fuel.
I did say I noticed at the start, I think the first half of that race, you did finish, and say after the first 10 minutes, a little bit more fuel than Quinney, so I could see you had a bit more to burn heading into the second half. But did you think you were going to get one more lap in, or did you have a little bit of a brown flag moment there?
No, I think we had enough fuel. I think it was well managed throughout the race, so we're good fun.
Well, fantastic. And are you looking to have more of the same success in the third one, or are you just looking to be on the podium?
Well, we'll give it a go. It's that hot. I'm just happy to get to the finish line.
Oh, you're not the only person that thinks that, I'm sure. Is Chris Char there as well, by the way? You seem to have a bit of a ding-dong battle yourself there with about 3 cars. At one point you were 3 wide with I think it was maybe Chris R390 and Disastrous Fate. So are you happy with the outcome of this race, or were you looking for more? Well, I think if I remember rightly, if we were doing reverse grid, you're starting, I think, slap bang in the middle of the pack, P5. Do you think you got a chance of keeping those Evos at bay? Well, just remember, you got those 7 gears, so use all 7 and save the fuel that way, I guess. Well, best of luck then, Chris. Best luck everyone else. We'll see you at the end of the final race. Good luck. So it's coming down to the final race here at oh, so Dalton says you can't hear him on the stream. Well, Chris Char was saying he was hoping for a little bit better there, but the Evos are just too good at saving fuel, so he's got to try and use all 7 gears and keep himself in the race that way. But he did put up a great fight. So we're going to be heading to the final race in just a few moments. And again, thank you to our partners who you can find in the description of the video below, as is the link to our Discord server. We've got a huge range of races going on. In fact, if I just reel some off the top of my head, we've got on Tuesdays, we've got Tuesday sprint races. We've got Beardy's Beetles from our resident bearded driver. another popular series that's been going back many years now, and our progression league from where these drivers found themselves. Thursdays we've got a Super Formula League in the works as well. Fridays we've just got some kind of fun races going on, and I'll be hosting a league for the month of August. Saturdays is the famed Amigos Super Endurance, or Amigos or Group 3 Endurance I should say, and Sundays is our Super Endurance, once a month, about 2-3 hours racing. It is a long one. I just hope they weren't doing it yesterday. So we should find our drivers on track soon. I think I'll just give them the all clear. And we'll find ourselves in for the last 30-minute race here at Blue Moon Bay. Who's your money on? Stick it in the comments. I don't want to go for Ginoquini again because I feel like that's it's almost like betting on Paris Saint-Germain to win the French league. It's not really sporting, is it? But I'd like to see Nene on the podium again. I'd like to see Chris Charr get on the podium. And I would like to see Mad Lad sort out his strategy and get on the podium. But we're going to find out in just a few seconds. We've got our 5 red lights. We run on board with Nene, race 2 winner. Matthew Francis want Tiddles or Chris. Be good to see someone else on the top spot as well. Let's hope for Tiddles and Chris as well then, of course. Thank you, Matthew. So there's our 5 red lights, and away we go. A good start from the Mazda as well, and a great start there from the BMW of Mr. Tiddywink. As that Nene gives Disastrous Fate a bump draft. Very courteous driving there. Dalton puts a metaphorical 5 on Mad Lad to win. Well, I suppose anything is possible. Let's have a look as I make the way through turn 1. It is Mad Lad in the lead. But Tiddywink had an extraordinary start there. Crazy launch off the grid. And it's up into P2 already. Love to see it. Chris R390 in P3 and Chris Charr right in his tail in 4th. He's also having to defend though from Disastrous Fate. Going to jump on board with him though. Is he going to make an early move into the horseshoe? No, I don't think so. But he could try and bump Chris Charr through instead. Chris R390. And it's like he's a little bump as well possibly from Ginoquini in the Evo. So of course things get a little bit bumped up as we go through the complex middle sector there, the tight and twisty part of the track. But it seems that everyone has gotten through unscathed, and I think more interestingly, I think they're all pretty much in the slipstream of each other, so we might just see some close racing, well, with the exception of Mad Lad on a pad, who seems to have broken away with Mr. Tiddywink by a second or 2 already. It is actually 2 seconds to the rest of the field, so we might just see a very different set of strategies going on with our front 2 drivers. So Tiddywink in first from what seemed like absolute midfield mediocrity to the front of the pack. Mad Lad in P2. Chris Charr is heading the train of drivers everywhere else. He's got Chris R390 right behind him in 4th. Disastrous Fate in 5th. Ginoquini in 6th, having gotten past Nene, it seems there, and he's in 7th. Sergeant Colon is in P8. So I think we must be missing a J-Lad, because J-Lad maybe had to go for some reason, it seems. So the question is, how quickly is Mad Lad going to lose out on his tyres? I think, because we know he's not great on the tyres anyway, but Quinny will have to get up that field sooner or later if he wants a chance at keeping up with Mad Lad. We know he can go aggressive on the tyres, but we've also seen him go aggressive on the fuel, and that often doesn't pan out very well. We will though run on board with Sergeant Colon and just see if he can make some inroads on that lime green Evo of Nene. It seems he's actually losing some time, and he's got to be careful. If he goes much slower, he'll lose the slipstream entirely, and it seems he has just about fallen out of slipstream range there, 8 tenths down, so he's not gaining anything on these straights unless Fates had to lift off, I think, which he did. So he might just about be involved, be with a fight, but he's missed the apex. He's got to get the power down. I think this twisting sector will come to his rescue here. But he's got to make sure he stays with that slipstream, otherwise he will be in a world of his own, or maybe up a certain creek without a paddle, perhaps here. So Mr. Tiddywink and Mad Lad still leading the way here. Tiddywink now has taken a gap of 3 seconds to Mad Lad. We can see he's definitely going aggressive there. He's got the soft tyres on, so he's got to be pumping the laps as hard as he can. He might be on a 2-stopper here in that case. But with a 1:12.3, which I think is our fastest lap of the night so far, and still going faster, you might even see a 1:11 in the race, which I think we've only had in practice. So that'd be great to see Mr. Tillering pull out a 1:11 lap. Let's see what he does as he crosses the line. 3 1/3, 3.5 seconds up on Mad Lad. Looks like that 1:11 is just eluding him for the time being. But crucially, is eluding Mad Lad, who's just lost P2 to Chris Chai in the braking zone of turn 1. Maybe you have to be a little more conservative now as he's on the medium tyres. Now he's got to last a longer race. Chris R390 cut behind him, also on the soft tyres in P4. So we might well see an interesting fight break out soon as Chris Chai defends from Mad Lad. This might well bring R390 into the battle. Let's see here, he takes a good line here through the right-hander of turn 4, using all the inside curb there. He's short shifting there as he heads into the horseshoe. We're definitely gaining time on this duo up front here as they're battling for the podium places. You see there Chris Chai going a little bit wide. He's maybe a bit too keen to put the power down as he heads out of the horseshoe there. And it's just biting him as he heads onto the grass on the exit. You can see Mr. Tillering has already made his way out of the final, second to last corner onto the banking. And he's got almost 6 seconds in hand to Chris R390, the sister BMW there in P4. So it looks like Mr. Tillering really is going for it in the first stint. Gina Quinney is in P5. He's still got Nanny for company in P6. And again, they're more or less identical tyres and fuel. So perhaps Nene's taken the leaf out of Quinney's strategy guide and is looking to match him move for move. You know, apex for apex, fuel for fuel. Disastrous Fate had a rather disastrous start, it seems, now in P7. He's going to hope the race falls more his way, possibly. Maybe if Lady Luck can lend him a bit of an opportunity heading into the rest of the night. He's not had the best start, and nor, must be said, has Sergeant Colon at the back of the pack. Maybe being a bit conservative this time around, but a bit too conservative, quite possibly. We look forward together. Mr. Tillering really is extending his lead. You can see on the map he's got a huge lead. It's about 5 seconds now. I think it is, yes, 5 seconds over Chris Chai in P2. And he's still trying to put those purple laps. You can see he's got a 1:12.4, a 1:12.7. Both of those would have been purple laps, I think, in races 1 and 2. But now he seems short shifting just a touch as he heads down the back straight. So maybe trying to conserve a little bit more. As you see there, now he's blinking red fuel, so now he's into the last 10% of the tank. And I think this might well last him maybe 1, maybe 2 laps if he's very, very lucky. But really, I think he's got to go another 2 laps if he wants to make the strategy work for the fuel, because we know you can do about 7 or 8 laps on the tank. That should take you into the 10-minute barrier, and you just have to do that twice more. He's got a good gap over Chris Chai, almost 5.5 seconds now. Chris Chai also with very low fuel on the medium tyres. So it looks like Tillering is getting all his time on the soft tyres, but he's got to put some new ones on in the pits. Maybe again later in the race. But Mad Lad is down in P3. He's got Chris R390 now catching up to him for company there in the yellow and purple BMW there in P4. Just shadowing him through that second apex there. Oh, a little bit of slide there as he touches the grass on the exit of the third to last corner. Running very wide, almost clipping the wall there. It's as close as you like there on the exit of the penultimate corner there. And now right up into the slipstream of Mad Lad as Chris Chai and Tillering dive into the pits. The question is, have they gone a lap early? See Chris R390 roaring up onto the back of Mad Lad, sees his chance at the lead, braking late, and he grabs it. Mad Lad getting very uncomfortable there through turn 1. So that might be putting some more strain on the tyres as well, but Chris is now going to try and keep him at bay for the next minute or so, as I'm sure he'll be having to pit at the end of this lap. Mad Lad might go for one more round, but I don't see any point in him forcing an overtake. As being on the medium tyres, he's not really losing much time. Having said that though, further down the road, about 5 seconds away, we've got Nene here and Gina Quinney. So both of them, again, on very similar levels of fuel and tyres. They're probably going to try and go for one more lap as is Willie D. But you can see, being on controller affecting his tyres so much more than the other Mitsubishis down the pack. And really, I think he's got to make sure he might, at least point, he's got to just at least transition onto the steering with a stick. It's just so much more gradual. It's not forcing the tyres to instantly change direction. And it's not helping him at all. And in fact, I think they're both going to dive to the pits. Knows that Willie's going to stay out for one more lap. Chris dives into the pits there. 21 minutes to go. Nene and Quinny take P3 and 4. Fate will go around one more time as well in the Scirocco. Sergeant Colonel is just out the slipstream there in P5. As that Mr. Tillywink rounds the final corner there to see where Chris off 390 comes out in relation to him. He's still in the pit box. We can see up the road there as well, Chris Char just coming over the timing line now. Chris off 390 is still not left the pits. So it seems that outlap was a heck of a lot faster there from the Lexus. Chris is now leaving the pits, full tank of fuel and soft tyres. Now this is a talking point here, because I'm not too sure those soft tyres, they definitely won't last a full tank of fuel. He definitely cannot go without pitting again. But would it have been worth maybe just half filling the car, maybe jumping in someone's slipstream and using those soft tyres while the car is still light and agile? Because now it's full of fuel, it's going to be drive, and then you're going to get the tyre wear on top of that. If we jump forward a few cars though, we can see Sergeant Colon on the back of this trading pack here. They're all going around for one more lap, so it's going to be interesting to see who makes the fuel last. He's just about catching back into the slipstream here, which he needs to save that extra couple dregs of fuel to make it around the end of the lap. Throwing them off of the ideal line as they hit the brakes. We can see this is going to be very tight as they head into the pits. We can see they're all blinking red fuel here, including Mad Lad at the front of the pack. I'm sure we're going to see them all change tyres, maybe just for insurance. I don't think Quinny and Nene would want to keep the tyres on if they know it's going to be a second or two to get rid of them, because they'll make that back up at the end of the event. But Fate's one to watch here. You see now, learning from his mistakes, I think, and saving the fuel, saving the tyres with an early shift up into third gear on the corner exit. And maybe again he could do with one there as well, just to preserve the tyre life. There's Sergeant Colon in the rear of the shot there, was pushing pushing Industrious Fate through the penultimate corner there. I think we can see multiple drivers now peel off into the pits. There goes Mad Lad following the radar on the top right of your screen, and all of the top 5 dive into the pit lane. So now I can see where Mr. Tillywink emerges in all of this. He was our race leader just before the pit stops. But has he pitted too early? And if not, how much time has he gained? Because if he's got about, let's see, he was 20 seconds behind. How long is a pit stop? We're going to have to find out in a moment. Chris Charles also crossing the line here. So he would have been about 25 seconds behind. And it looks like the pit stop must be taking about, oh god, my maths is dreadful here. He was 5 seconds behind and he's now emerged. Oh, let's make a rough guess at about 20-25 seconds. I don't think he's going to have that much time for the second stint. He's definitely going to have to pit again. He's not got the fuel to go to the end of the race. Not a chance. Mad Lad, though, should definitely have the fuel to go to the end. He's got a full tank of fuel and some soft tyres. He might not need to stop again unless his tyres get the better of him. Chris R390, I think we see, will likely have to stop just for a set of soft tyres, because they will not be comfortable at the end on a full load. But we saw him pit earlier, so it's interesting to see how the cars have emerged either side of him. Disastrous Fate there with a fresh set of mediums and a 3/4 tank of fuel. This might be slightly underfueled as well. We'll have to see how he manages. Sergeant Cohen's also slightly underfueled. Nene, though, we saw filled up all the way to the top, and he's having to look at a drag race with Sergeant Colon down the back straight. He's got the inside line, but this just means Colon can slipstream him as they head down over the finishing line. And let's see if we can see any tactics at play. Looks like he's going to go for the bump draft instead, try and catch up to disastrous fate there in P5. So no crazy moves for the time being from any of our drivers. Maybe trying to conserve now and see who's got to make, or who's going to have to bite the bullet and jump in the pits later. Gina Quinney's looking for the of Sergeant Colon, trying to get that one done sooner rather than later. He makes that into P7. A little bit. And this is the thing, Mr. Tiddywink, he's 24 seconds off of Nene, so you might just have him on a pit stop, but that's going to put him at best P6. So the question is, when is he going to pit? Because really, I think he could probably maybe pit now, a slight refill of fuel, and probably wouldn't be too far behind this bunch, and soft tyres as well. He could still have a good chance. We'll have to see when he decides to jump into the pits. Chris Char, again, he'd like to jump into the pits as well. His tyres are not looking particularly great. They will not last another 15 minutes, nor will the fuel. So it seems our provisional leader, really, once they've made their stops, will be mad out on the pad. But as mentioned earlier, his tyre management just isn't at the same level as his competitors on the steering wheel. So that may be his pitfall. But as it stands, though, with 3 seconds up on Chris R390, he's definitely put in the times to try and make that advantage while he still can. Chris R390 will jump aboard with him, though, heading the train of about, well, the rest of the field, another 4 cars behind him. We see there the Shock of Fate very late on the brakes there. You can see it leaning as he turns through that right-hander, running nicely wide onto the rumble strip, using another bit as he clips there to get a late second apex back on the power. But you can just tell from the body language of the quite easy, quicker than the on the straight. As you can see, he's already leaving it for dead. 5 seconds, 5 tenths clear out the 7 tenths clear as he heads over the timeline. He may get slipstream, but not really enough to consider a move. Considering a move, I had no idea what was coming. Disaster straight, I think he's 20. He's looking to have that one back. The cork got as well. Contact there, fake is in the grass. This is what no take back around the outside. Pray name fake got down into P4. Breaking a second. A bit better now. I'm a bit away than myself. It seems to happen there. There's a big move on Chris. Perhaps there's a bit of Chris is too short. I think it's gone for a move. Play off in the ground. It's quite funny. And up inside. Around the outside. Fantastic race for these guys. And still, neck and neck on the straight. We'll jump aboard behind the best still here. But slipstream engaged, trying to get back to the spot. Look at the 20, but and then in fact he's gone all the way forward, and now I sound like a die. That's the last one. He won. Hopefully that's a little bit clearer now. I do apologise for the audio issues. I think it's about time I get a new microphone. But I'm using my headset now, so I hope it's not too disgusting. We can see Tiddywink there has jumped into the pits from the lead. We know he's had to get some fuel back in the car and a new set of tyres. He's got 12 minutes remaining, so if the car will make 12 minutes on a set of tyres, that will be cutting it very fine in my opinion. Crucially, where is he going to emerge in terms of his current rivals? We see there Sergeant Cohen is reeling in Chris R390. He makes the overtake, and where is Mr. Tidderick? He's just leaving the pits, not in close enough for that battle. Sergeant Quality just going to get blocked off by Chris R390 as he heads on the exit of turn 1, so no dice there. Oh, thank you for letting me know, Matthew, that the voice is a bit better now. I'm definitely not going to be exterminating anybody. Or Chris trying to exterminate himself, it looks like. Oh, very close there, but Chris just about keeps it out of the fence. Unfortunately, does not keep P6 or P7. So now that my voice is slightly less extraterrestrial or cybernetic, let's have a look for our running order. It is Chris Char, who thinks they have to make one more pit stop for the end of this race. So Mad Adam Pad may well be in with a shout of winning. However, you can see those medium tyres on Mad are not looking great to do another 10 minutes, and he is going to be under serious threat from Nene. You see the back of our shot there in P3. A much nicer set of wheels on Nene there, as Fate and Gina Quinny going side by side. Quinny's going to make that move now on Disastrous Fate. Slightly better tyres than Nene, and I think now that Quinny knows that Nene has got his strategy on lock, he's going to have to make a move at some point soon to remind Nene who the boss is in this series. Disastrous Fate, though, is not letting them get away without a fight. He's going to about maybe a quarter tank less fuel, but that's a very aggressive line through the right hander. May well let him a penalty for his troubles. He doesn't want to let these ones go without a fight. He can smell the podium there off of the back of Nene, who's gone very, very deep into the right hander, almost onto the grass. Now they're 3 wide, but Quinny will take another place there and puts him into P3. Crucially, Nene is now down behind Disastrous Fate. This is another car he didn't want to have to overtake. And also he's got Mr. Tidderick right behind him for company as well, who, as we saw earlier, was fresh out of the pits after his strategy. He's gotten past Colon and Chris R390, and maybe if he can stick with Nene and stick with Quinny, he might also stand a chance of winning. A very different strategy in place, but it could just come to terms for him. Chris Char is in the pits as Mr. Tidderick makes light work there of Nene. Of course, much more fuel, he can push a lot harder. He is pushing harder, very deep there on the soft tyres. Chris Char, I think, now finds himself at the back of the pack, having led for so long. I think the strategy has come to him tonight. He's may have a bit of a sit down and a rethink with his engineers. Maybe some of the Mattia Benotto advice he's been taking recently isn't quite what we'd suggest. What we would suggest, though, is getting past Disastrous Fate as quickly as possible. You can see he's really running up on the back of these pair here in 3rd and 2nd. Fate's just run slightly wide, a bit of a door bump there from Tidderick. Not much to really harm the racing, but maybe have to throw him off of his stride. Can he go around the outside though on the soft tyres? No, he cannot. Fate shuts the door firmly in his face. But of course that's allowing Quinny just to pull away a little bit more. Tidderick's now got to hold back, wait for the shot out the corner. You can see as well Nene wants a piece of the action as well. So we're going to watch this battle here as Fate tries to push Tidderick all the way out towards the wall. Tidderick will drag straight past the Scirocco, and in fact looks like Nene will have the pass on him as well. So maybe just trying to save a little bit more fuel there, turning down the fuel mix, but that puts Tidderick into P3, Nene into P4, and Tidderick on the podium has a shot at P2, and if Madden has to pit, he also has a shot at the win. This would be something fantastic to see. We've got 8 minutes remaining, which equates to maybe about 7 or so more laps, I think. Maybe 7 or 8 more laps, so let's see how they get on. Actually, I can't be 7 more laps, I'm talking about 5 or 6 more laps, I think. Our maths is completely out the window tonight, sorry guys. So, we've still got Madeleine on the pad out in P1, but you can see that front right tyre is absolutely shot there, half worn, not going to be useful for much longer. Another little graze on the wall there for good measure. I think Madeleine has probably got enough fuel in the car to go to the end, but I'm not sure the tyres are going to make it, so he's going to have to push either really hard but conservatively, or he's going to have to jump in the pits and get some tyres on as quick as he can. Quinny is starting to reel him in from the back of your shot there in P2. An almost pristine set of medium tyres on his Mitsubishi. But he's got that BMW Tidderick trying to catch him as quick as possible. Tiddywink having set the fastest lap of the race earlier, the 1:12.307. I'm sure there's another purple lap left in him if he keeps going the way he is. I'm going to jump forward with Tiddywink. He's really hounding Quinny now, taking time out of him every corner, every straight. A wonderful line there from Tiddywink. Quinny's compromised there, having to fend to the inside. Tiddywink will jump to the inside line before the horseshoe, and that should make quick work of the Mitsubishi. Quinny's going to try and hold it around the outside, but Tiddywink is on the apex, and that is P2 in the bag. Next one is 6 seconds down the line. Oh, a bit of contact there. Wasn't expecting her. Queen to be on the outside line there, but the next one for Tiddywink will be Mad Lad on the pad. 5.5 seconds up the road. He's going to make those 5.5 seconds at about a second a lap if he wants a shot on the win. It's not going to be easy, but I think it will be very close, as we know with Mad Lad's tyre wear situation being far from ideal. Nene is in P4. He's still holding off disastrous Fate by about half a second. Fate though, slightly worse tyre wear at the front, slightly less fuel though, and again that Shruko is really drawing in the Mitsubishi. He's going for a move on the inside there, he's left it very late. The Shruko is so light, you can just throw it in the corners and it sticks like a gun to a school jet. But Fate has had to let that one go, he's just not had the traction out of the corners. Almost on the grass there. But he's held it in one piece and keeps P5. I've said that though, Nene off on the grass, fortunately rally pedigree of the Mitsubishi keeping it in one piece, but not without giving away a few tenths there. Disastrous Fate. Still no move though for the time being. We move forward just a little bit there, see how Quinny's getting on. He's starting to lose touch there to the BMW of Tiddywink. He's now out of the slipstream. You can see him revving the car to its max as he gets through the second to last corner, but now BMW is well and truly out of slipstream range. Tiddywink is taken out not 1 second but 3 seconds out of Mad Lad, and if it carries on the way he's going, he won't just pass Mad Lad, but he will leave him in the dust. He set the fastest lap there, only 9 thousandths purple, but that's going to be more reassurance to Tiddywink as well. Mad Lad's going to see that on the left side of his screen. That's going to be a warning message. That's a warning shot from Tiddywink that he is quickly on his way. It's a second gone just from the first few corners alone, and in fact he might even have Mad Lad, if not by the end of this lap, then by the start of the next one. I think we're going to ride on board then with Tiddywink. There's one I'll try and get some cockpit cam as well. I've not had that for a while. See if I can steer the camera into the corners for you as Tiddywink heads through the horseshoe. Try and wind that out nice and gently. Look towards the double apex here. You just can't see it through the roll cage, but we know it's going to be there. There he is. Now Mala's only 1.5 seconds away as they head on to the second to last corner. We'll try and steer that one with you one more time. There he goes, keeping the wall there. Mala is straight at the wall, it's lost him more time. Now Mr. Who is in the slipstream. Mala is trying to fight to defend, keep out the slipstream there, and in fact, he's going to hold the inside line, but Tiddywink is just going to drag straight past him. You're going to give him a little wave as he goes past there for Mr. Tiddywink. Mala's going to duck it in the slipstream. I'm sure we'll see him do that in the mirror in just a second. And that gives Tiddywink the racing line. Right, just very wide there into the final corner. That gives Mr. Tiddywink P1. He's got 3 minutes on the clock left, so maybe another 3 or so laps. Has he got the fuel in the tank though? He's been running very aggressively. From what we worked out earlier this week, an aggressive lap of fuel could be about 10% of fuel a lap, and he's got just over a quarter tank left. So Tiddywink will now have to be conscious of how much he's got left in the tank, how much he can battle with and pull away with. As will Mad Lad to be faced, but even less fuel than Tiddywink, and that front right tyre is over 50% worn. Quinny is now catching him hand over fist through these handling sector. You can see it's so much better tyres there on the blue Evo, catching him in all the traction zones, all these long corners as well. And unfortunately there's slight grace to the wall. If it wasn't for that, he might well have had him down the straightaway. Let's have a look on board though with Jimmy Quinn and see just how much that gap really is to the car in front. Not much at all. He's losing time on the straightaways, but he will have him very, very quick in the corners, and I'm sure we'll see that in the next few seconds. 2 minutes remaining here at Blue Moon Bay. Mr. Tiddywink has made a fantastic comeback there, and a lightning start at the beginning of the race. and has really put his foot down. He's now escaping these battling duo here by 3 seconds. You can see that Mad Lad is really struggling for grip there on these tyres. Couldn't get the car to change direction quickly enough for that right hand, and now Quinny has got a view to make the move on him into the middle sector. No, so letting go. Mad Lad defends very early. He's having a hugely compromised line through the horseshoe. I think Quinny could have just made the move there because he knows Mad Lad has not got the grip to keep up with him through the rest of the circuit. Either way, Quinny makes that move sooner rather than later up into P2. He's already broken the slipstream there, just out of one corner alone. So Mad Lad is now down to P3 at best. He's got Nene behind him, 4.2 seconds, but I don't think Nene's going to have enough to catch up unless Mad Lad runs out of fuel. We see the blinking red light there of impending doom on the MFD, meaning Mad Lad's only got 10% fuel left. And Dalton's made the comment once already in our comment section that Mad Lad and fuel do not mix very well, at least in terms of saving fuel. They're getting very wide. They're almost on the actual oval itself from Mad Lad. It's not going to do him any favours. If you jump back down the track and see 2 drivers going very close together, that'll be Sergeant Colon and Chris R390. Chris on a very worn set of soft tyres there versus Sergeant Colon on a slightly nicer set of mediums. Let's see how these two fare heading through the second sector of the track. You can see Chris Charping just lurking in the back there waiting for a mistake to pounce. Sergeant Colon running it very close there to the grass. Of course, the four-wheel drive Mazda probably able to handle itself, but it's not where you want it to be. A compromised run out the outside of turn 4 puts Chris R390 on the front foot, and that puts him up into P6. Colin looking to move running outside. Chris is braking very late. Colin's going to duck to the inside, but that's off track. He can't make the move there, and he's going to have to let that one go for the time being. Chris keeps P6. It looks like Mr. Tinnywink is going to take it over the line. Spin for good measure. He takes P1. Gina Quinny will take P2 there. Mad Lad will take 3rd place. Great result from him, running out of fuel on the line. Nene will take P4. He's left that spin still very early there. Disastrous Fate coming down the back straight now will claim P5. Good result for him. Chris R390 trying the line and just about got the fuel in the tank to keep Chris Chart Bay in P6 and 7 respectively. And Sergeant Cole unfortunately has run out of fuel. It looks like a P8. Mr. Tiddlywink takes the win, and Dalton informed me in the comments there that mathematically Gina Quinny may well have just won the championship. Of course, we'll confirm that for you in the next episode next week for our final race. But of course, we'll get into those post-race interviews before we wrap up for this evening. Good evening, everybody. Live again on ART TV. Please do not swear. Is Mr. Tiddlywink there?
Might be.
Well, that was a very different race for you, wasn't it?
It was a real good set of sticker tyres there.
Well, I was going to say, from the very start, you had a lightning launch. Where did you start from again? Let's not wish Americans fly through the timing sheets here, because I thought you were about mid-pack, weren't you?
Yeah, something like that.
You started in P5, but I saw from the back of the pack that you had a great launch and you were in the lead before turn 1.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Did you have any strategic doubts during that race? Because of course doing the soft strategy does lend itself to a double pit stops, and that was quite risky.
It does. But that race, I just went all out, flat out. Decided to stay on the same tyres on the first pit stop, and then change on the second.
Well, that definitely seems to work in your favour tonight, so well done there to you, Mr. Tiddlywink.
Thank you.
And can I get a quick chat with Gina Quinny? You there, Quinny?
Hello.
We've got Dalton in the comments saying that you needed 45 points to wrap up the championship, and tonight you've earned 65. So as far as we know, you are the TCR champion. How are you feeling?
That's fantastic. It's Yeah, it's been good fun. It's been a good season. As next week to have a nice bit of entertainment with it as well. It's a good set of lads, and everybody's just entertaining every week. It's good fun. So I'm happy to have won it as well.
This will be all subject to any penalties or time infringements. I'm sure there's nothing on your part. There isn't normally. But if that is indeed the case, then congratulations on a well-deserved championship. And I guess it's going down to the wire for P2 and 3. But it was everybody. Great racing as always, and I'll see you next week. Take care, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
And with that done, I'm going to leave you guys to try and cool down from the red hot racing we've had tonight here at Blue Moon Bay. We'll catch you for the series finale next week at Dragon Trail Gardens. I've been SuperSquid. You've been amazing. Stay cool, stay calm, and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye bye.